the latest news, national issues, the political scene, and conversations with prominent personalities. All these firsthand at the forefront. Good morning. I am Attorney Karen Jimeno. Tomorrow, November 23, will mark the 15th year of the Maguindanao Massacre. 58 people were murdered, including 34 journalists, making it the deadliest incident in the history of news media. 45 of the 103 accused were meted sentences in 2019 by a Quezon City court, including reclusion perpetua for the principal suspects. Today, we remember the women, the media, and even the innocent motorists who perished during the dark moment in Philippine political history, infamously referred to as the Maguindanao Massacre. Joining us to give insights is a relative of one of the journalist victims of the Maguindanao Massacre. We have on Zoom a kin of Arturo Betia, Emily Lopez. Good morning, Emily. Hello, Ma'am Emily. Good morning. Miss Emily, can you hear us? I think she's having problems with her audio. For now, we'll go to our studio guest. We have with us the chairperson of the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines, Jonathan de Santos. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Atty. Karen. Thanks for having us on your program this morning.
Thank you for being here today. And first, can you explain to us what is NUJP?
Okay, NUJP is a lateral guild of media practitioners. Basically, we were organized in 1986 to work for press freedom, work on press freedom, and also organize and basically campaign for better working conditions for journalists. That includes, of course, safety for our colleagues.
And when you say lateral association, does this mean that NUJP is made up of journalists who are also members of other associations?
Oh yeah, we're not exclusive. We welcome all journalists, basically. The idea of a lateral guild basically is that there are chapters across the Philippines in certain newsrooms, and we work together on our campaigns.
Since we are commemorating the 15th year of the Maguindanao Massacre, can you recall what transpired during that event?
So, the Maguindanao Massacre has been called the worst case of election-related violence and the worst attack on media workers in Philippine history. Basically, what happened was there was an attempt, or there was a plan by the Maguindanao clan to challenge the Ampatuan clan for the governorship of Maguindanao. At the time, it was still one province, and so part of that campaign was basically there was a caravan carrying the wife of Ismael Maguindanao and his female relatives, because it was believed that it would be safer for them because, as you know, in some regions, the political rivalry is very tense, so they needed that sort of extra protection. There were also 32 journalists who were in the convoy to cover. So it was a basic coverage, but it was also in the belief that if you're with media, it will be safer, because we had always believed that journalists they're not parties to conflicts, so they should be neutral and they should be safe. But that was not what happened, unfortunately, and they were blocked on the way to Sharif Aguak for the filing of the COCs. They were brought to a massacre site, and then they were killed. There was an attempt to hide them in a mass grave. It was eventually discovered, and that's where we got the iconic photo or image of the backhoe over the mass grave, which we use until today for our campaigns.
And it was, as you said, premeditated because the mass grave was already dug up before the incident happened. And was there a conscious plan or effort to kill journalists in the process, not just the family of the political rival, the Mangundadatos?
That's hard to determine, but I think the court did say that that was what happened. But I think what's really shocking here is the idea that, well, the fact that they could kill 58 people, but also that the line was crossed because we believe that journalists should not be, parang there should not be violence done to them. We're just covering, we're doing our jobs.
Ito ba yung first time na nagkaroon ng violence against media in Mindanao?
In Mindanao, no. Actually, the Philippines naman kasi has always been a dangerous country for journalists. Pero yung scale nito kasi, it's 32, no? It would still be the worst. And kung titingnan din natin, yung tagal ng kaso, it took 10 years for a conviction. Ayun, it's medyo par for the course, I think, naman for attacks on journalists. Pero yung scale nito is really beyond the pale, I think.
But earlier you said that there is a belief na pagka merong media na magko-cover ng event, including here, this is the political beat, that they should not be part of any violence or they shouldn't be victims. But you've said also right now that sa Mindanao, talagang nakaka-experience sila ng violence. Is that still the case right now? Has this been accepted?
Well, hindi lang naman sa Mindanao, although particularly, mas marami rin talagang attacks doon. Hindi siya accepted, but in a way, it has been normalized kasi wala rin, yung accountability for these attacks, very rare at matagal, no? So, it does send the message na people can attack journalists with impunity. So yun, that's part of the campaign really, to remind people na hindi dapat nangyayari to. And pag nangyari to, dapat may mananagot. Kaya tuloy pa rin yung kampanya natin dito for this case.
And ano yung naging impact ng Maguindanao Massacre on Philippine journalism?
Well, malaki, no? Kasi after this incident, no, medyo may soul-searching din talaga within the industry or within the profession. At meron naman tayong, kumbaga, strides for security, no, and safety. Parang na-recognize natin na, it's not enough. Kasi dati, di ba, pag journalist nag-cover ka, parang you go anywhere just to get the story. But now, hindi na ganun, ano. Pero before that, yung tinatawag na chilling effect on journalists, napakalaki niyan. I remember nung batang reporter pa ako, and may mga colleagues din ako na after this incident, inisip nila, it's a bit dangerous, parang huwag na natin ituloy, mga ganyan. And yung ganong fear, yung idea na, let's say, a powerful political party or powerful political clan could reach out and hurt you or kill you, ano pa rin naman yan, it's still a reality now that we work with and work against.
And right now, we'll hear first from a relative of a victim of the Maguindanao Massacre. So let's try again on Zoom. The kin of Arturo Betia, Miss Emily Lopez. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning po sa lahat na nagmo-monitor po sa BNC, sa lahat-lahat po na nakikinig.
Miss Emily, how are you related to Art Betia, who was a freelance journalist that was killed in the Maguindanao Massacre?
He is my first cousin. And then, yung family po ni Art from Iloilo City, then sila po ang nagbigay sa akin ng FAA na mag-aasikas po sa kaso ni Art Betia.
And at that time, paano niyo po nalaman na kasama si Art doon sa mga biktima ng Maguindanao Massacre?
O galing ng Kidapawan City. So, nang dumaan po kami sa Art po ng marami pong tao doon sa daan. Tapos doon namin nalaman na meron parang massacre na nangyari doon sa Barangay Salman. Sabi nila may mga media daw na nakasali. Ang nasa isip ko kaagad yung pinsan ko. Tinawagan ko yung pinsan ko na kung saan nakatira si Art. Sabi niya, si Art daw umalis madalang araw para magsama doon sa mga kasamahan ng media. So, pag bandang hapon na nung 23, nalaman ko talaga na confirm na nakasama doon si Art. Sana sabi niya.
Pagkatapos yung pong malaman na naging biktima si Art, how did you react? Pumunta po ba kayo agad sa public attorney's office or any lawyer para sabihin na magfa-file kayo ng kaso?
No. Kasi nung nangyari ang Massacre 23, 24 na po namin nakita yung bangkay niya kasi doon pinaretrieve po yung mga katawan ng mga biktima kasi yung iba 24 na ng gabi nahanap. So si Art, na nakita namin yung body niya is 24 na po ng gabi. So after that, may mga grupo ng mga media na from national po na nag-visit po doon sa funeral home. No? Then at 25, first po talagang na-met yung group ng NUJP. Hindi ko po ma-recall kung national o local ba siya. Then, yun. Kasi yung case po, na-file December na. Hindi ko rin po maalala no, kung paano ko na buo yung plan na mag-file ng case. Kasi sinabihan kami na yun, lahat yung families i-gather. Then, kung ano ang magandang plano. May mga lawyers po na na-meet namin along the way na patungkol po sa filing ng case. Sina po Atty. Prema, no? Saka yung ibang lawyer. Yun po, doon kami nag-decide yung ibang families na mag-isa po kami doon sa criminal filing po sa kaso ng massacre.
And yung Ampatuans po were known to be a very powerful family in Maguindanao at kilala rin sila as having private armies. Hindi po ba kayo natakot to seek justice and hold them liable for the massacre?
Siyempre, sa una-una po, may mga kaba po na nagdadalawang isip pa. Kasi alam namin na kung gaano po ka-powerful yung mga, sabi natin mga warlord na yung tag na po sila as a warlord. So sabi ko, pero pag hindi po kami kumilos na mag-file ng kaso, parang hinayaan natin na gano'n na lang po ang mangyari. No? 38 na buhay ang kinuha sa journalist, then sa lahat po, 58 lahat. No? Sabi ko, pag hindi natin to i-push po yung kaso, ano ang mangyayari? Hayaan na ba natin na walang hustisya yung mga namatay? At hindi pa tayo kikilos yung kahit nasabi namin, kahit anong mangyari, basta magpapile tayo ng kaso.
At nung nagkaroon po dito ng conviction, were you satisfied with the results? Do you feel na nagkaroon po ng hustisya?
Directly speaking po yung conviction talagang sa amin po, hindi. Kasi partial yun eh. Hindi yun full justice na hinihingi po namin ng hustisya sa 10 years bago namin antay yung promulgation, tapos yun na po ang result. Yung iba po, acquitted, yung iba po, iilan na po yung principal suspect ang napatawan po ng reclusion perpetua. So, masakit din po sa amin, no? Although nasabi namin, kahit papaano, mayroon siyang first step na pinababa yung ng court. Pero yung iba po na component ng justice, talagang hanggang ngayon, hindi po namin nakamit.
Meron pa po bang aspeto ng kaso na pending pa sa ngayon? Meron po bang mga nag-appeal na pending pa or civil cases na hindi pa po nagkakaroon ng decision?
Okay. Kasi after sa promulgation, yung mga principal suspect po, nag-file ng appeal, no, sa Court of Appeals. Yun ang masakit po kasi how many years na po, wala pa pong resolution na pinalabas ng Court of Appeals. Hindi po namin alam kung sana po ngayon yung kaso, no? Then, yung mas masakit pa po kasi yung isa po sa mga inaasam-asam ng families yung compensation po dun sa buhay na kinuha ng mga accused, no? Na hanggang ngayon, wala po kaming alam kung ano po ang direksyon ng civil case.
So in the case po, sa case po ba ni Art nakakuha na kayo ng compensation for the family?
Wala po, wala. Although yung from the start kasi may mga kwento pa na lumalabas niya yung pamilya bayad na yung part po ng yung mga disinformation, no, para bulabugin yung pamilya. Pero ni Singkong Duling po, wala kaming natanggap, no, sa mga accused o doon sa pinataw ng korte.
At ngayon po, chairman na kayo ng Justice Now movement. Can you tell us about this movement?
Yung pong Justice Now, binuo po yun ng 2009, no? Then, kasi, yun po yung grupo ng media families po, saka relatives na kung saan, yun po ang magsisilbi naming grupo para pag-usapan o yung parang kumbaga yung group na yun ang magsisilbing matuputo doon sa kaso kasi mahirap kung wala kaming organization. Itong grupo po na to 15 years na pong nabuo kaya hanggang ngayon yung family intact pa rin. Kasi may mga regular kami na updates kahit naman sa online na meetings, tawagan. Kasi pag wala po itong Justice Now na nabuo, talaga po magwawatak-watak. Ang objective naman ng Justice Now is to seek justice, then para po ma-educate yung families, then makamonitor po din sa issue tungkol dun sa impurity na nangyayari ngayon sa Pilipinas.
So sa ngayon po ba, ano yung pinaglalaban ng Justice Now movement? Patuloy pa rin po ba na pinaglalaban ng movement ninyo na makuha yung compensation for the victims at yung mga desisyon po dun sa mga ibang kaso na pending pa rin?
Okay. Although sa criminal aspect siguro, sabihin natin na talagang hindi po kami kumbinsido kasi hanggang ngayon po may mga trial pa, may mga at-large pa po. Marami pong at-large, no? At siyempre sabi namin na talagang hindi pa po kampante yung buhay ng families kasi marami pang at-large. Then yung iba naman po ay nakalabas na, no? Tungkol naman dun sa civil aspect, yung talaga ang gusto namin sana malaman kung talaga may matatanggap ba ang families dun sa kompensasyon kasi hindi naman sabihin nilang mukhang pera yung pamilya kasi part yan ng hustisya eh. Yung compensation po part ng hustisya. Korte mismo ang nagsabi na i-compensate yung families ng mga biktima.
Yes, tama naman po kayo, Ma'am Emily. At maraming salamat po and we wish you good luck doon sa advocacy ng movement ninyo.
Salamat po, attorney, at saka magandang umaga po sa lahat.
And Jonathan, when the Maguindanao Massacre happened, before that incident, the Philippines was known as the second deadliest country for journalists after Iraq. So when this Maguindanao Massacre happened, didn't the Philippines become the most dangerous country for journalists? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the forefront. And Jonathan, before the Maguindanao Massacre, the Philippines was regarded as the second most dangerous country for journalists after Iraq. But after the Maguindanao Massacre, did we become the most dangerous country for journalists?
Yes, I think we were recognized or acknowledged as, I think we were the most dangerous for journalists for a long time. That only slipped because there have been more killings in other countries. Pero like on average, we have had more than 200 journalists killed since 1986. And notable din siguro na now for the longest time, for I think 11 years or 17 years, kasama tayo sa worst countries for journalists in terms of impunity. So yun pa rin, no? There have been attacks. It's dangerous to work as a journalist in the Philippines. At the same time, wala rin kasiguruhan kung kunyari inatake ka or pinatay ka, ay may hustisya ka makakuha.
So what makes us deadly as a country for journalists is not just the fact na may killings, but also yung impunity na walang nagkakaroon ng hustisya pagka may incident.
Kasi it does send the message, right? Kahit hindi sadya, it does send the message na you can kill journalists at hindi ka mapapanagot. And we have seen that even in recent cases, no? Kunyari, kay Percy Lapid, at may mga convictions na, pero yung supposed mastermind ay at large pa rin at hinahanap pa rin. So,
is this related to, sino yung at large right now? Si Arnie? Is this Congressman
no,
Arnie?
si Bantag yan, yung
Bantag,
former
yes.
corrections chief.
Yes.
So they're still looking for him. At yung mga ganito, no? Yung mga ganitong kaso na Minsan kasi, or madalas actually, ang nako-convict or nahuhuli ay yung gunman or let's say middleman. Pero very rarely na mahuhuli or matatry man lang ang supposed mastermind or yung principal, I suppose, in the crime.
Okay. And now we have on the line another relative of a victim of the Maguindanao Massacre, Mr. Ronnie Perante Jr. Good morning, Ronnie.
Good morning po, ma'am. By the way, good morning po sa lahat ng mga nanonood ngayong umaga po.
Thank you for your time today, Ronnie. Ronnie,
Yeah.
can you tell us ngayon kung ano yung nakatulong sa inyo na association nung time na naging biktima? Sino po ba yung kamag-anak ninyo na biktima sa Maguindanao Massacre?
One of the victim is my father, which is Ronnie Perante Sr., and he is a correspondent in Gold Star Daily Mindanao, Coronadal Branch.
At natulungan po ba kayo ng Gold Star Daily nung naging biktima yung tatay ninyo po? Sila po ba yung tumulong para mag-file ng kaso at mabigyan din ng compensation yung mga naiwan na pamilya ni Sir Ronnie?
To be honest, ma'am, since I am 9 years old in that time, hindi ko po talaga masyadong na subaybayan yung kaso. Ngayon ko lang po yung lumaki na po at ngayon ko lang po talaga yung kaso.
Ilan
Parang,
taon po ba kayo nung nangyari yung insidente?
I am 9 years old po.
9 years old, so naulila po kayo ng tatay ninyo. Ilang taon ka na po ngayon? I suppose
I am
after 15
23.
years. 23. So, nagkaroon na po ba ng development nung nagkaroon ng kaso? Meron na po bang conviction doon sa kaso na pinataw para doon sa nangyari sa tatay ninyo?
Regarding sa case, ma'am, hanggang ngayon hindi pa rin po kami
Oo nga.
kumbinsido sa kung ano yung pinataw na conviction, kasi that's ano lang po siya yung parang partial justice pa lang po yun para sa amin, kasi marami pa po mga at large as per Ma'am Emily Lopez, marami po talagang at large pa, at saka hindi po talaga kami kumbinsido, lahat po ng pamilya.
At ano pong naramdaman ninyo, Ronnie, nung time na yun, nung nalaman mo na naging biktima yung tatay mo at nawalan kayo ng tatay at age 9?
Yeah, nung time na yon is sobrang hirap. Lalo na yung papa ko is siya yung breadwinner, at saka yung mama ko is housewife lang nung time na yon. Wala po kaming, mahirap po, lalo na po sa financial. Actually, hindi po ako nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral dahil po sa kulang sa financial support.
At pagkatapos yan, wala po kayo nakuhang tulong kahit man lang doon sa pinagtatrabahuhan ng tatay ninyo?
Regarding that, ma'am, hindi ko po nasubaybayan yan. Kasi po, yun yan.
Pero wala kayong naramdaman na tulong, na napatigil kayo sa trabaho, sa pag-aaral ninyo?
Dati po meron po kaming scholarship before from other private scholarship. Then pero natigil po 'yon.
Bakit po natigil?
Hindi ko rin po alam. Sabi po nila is out of funds. So 'yon, kaya.
And ano naman pong tulong ang natanggap ninyo, if any, from the NUJP?
Yeah, from NUJP, from emotional support, from financial. So, yes, may financial support naman din po yung galing sa NUJP. At lalo na po sa, hindi po pag-iwan sa amin, simula pa ng una.
Pero
very thankful po kami doon.
doon po sa korte, nung nagkaroon ng conviction, meron po bang naibigay na mga danyos or damages para sa mga katulad ninyo na naiwanan ng mga biktima?
To be honest po, ma'am, ni piso, wala po kaming na-receive na danyos galing sa government, galing sa mga akusado, o galing kanino man po. Never po kami naka-receive ng kahit pisong duling.
Ronnie, sa ngayon ba meron pa kayong pinaglalaban na kaso para naman makakuha kayo ng compensation? Meron ba kayong ugnayan sa ibang mga pamilya na naulila rin para ituloy pa yung pagkuha ng justice para sa inyo?
Yes po, actually hanggang ngayon po is patuloy po namin inilalaban yung kaso kasabay ng NUJP, ng mga pamilya at iba pang sektor. Kami po ay lumalaban pa rin sa kaso, lalo na po sa kompensasyon. Dahil po malaking tulong po yun sa amin, lalo na po sa aming mga kabataan na marami po sa amin na hindi pa po nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral at gusto pang makuha yung mga pangarap nila.
And Ronnie, ngayon meron tayong mga nakikita na nakabalik sa politika na ampatuan din yung apelido. Anong nararamdaman nyo sa ganito na yung mga involved po doon sa nangyari sa Maguindanao Massacre ay nakabalik sa politika?
Masakit kasi parang harap-harapan nila kaming tinatapakan as one of a victim, son of a victim. Masakit po para sa amin. Lalo na po yung mga taong alam naman natin na may kasalanan pero patuloy pa rin nanunungkulang sa gobyerno, which is very disrespectful po pagdating po sa amin.
At bukas po magfi-15 years na since the Maguindanao Massacre. Hindi po ba kayo nawawalan ng pag-asa na wala pa rin kayo makukuha na results? Katulad ng sinabi nyo, yung iba at large pa rin, wala pa rin conviction dun sa iba, at yung mga danyos hindi pa rin po bayad.
Regarding that, ma'am, sorry.
Hindi pa po ba kayo nawawalan ng pag-asa since 15 years na po bukas? Since the Maguindanao Massacre?
Hindi pa rin po kami nawawalan ng pag-asa, ma'am, kasi hanggang ngayon patuloy po kaming lumalaban kasabay ng mga pamilya ng NUJP at ng attorney namin po. So hanggang ngayon higher moral pa rin kami na makukuha namin yung hustisya na para talaga sa amin.
At kung makakausap mo ngayon ang pumanaw mo na tatay, ano pong gusto niyong sabihin sa kanya?
Regarding the... Sorry. Kasi hindi ko man lang natulungan yung sarili ko na maabot yung mga pangarap ko. Yan po.
Maraming salamat, Ronnie. At sana po ay magkaroon na ng hustisya para sa iyo at sa mga pamilya rin na naging biktima nitong Maguindanao Massacre. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you po, sir. Thank you po.
Jonathan, napaka-emotional naman. Kasi I cannot believe na 15 years, wala pa rin talagang yung sense of justice, even for the victims. Saka yung tuwing sinasabi nila na up to now, walang nakuhang compensation. I just can't understand how this could have been left na wala man lang na itulong dun sa mga survivors o yung mga naiwanan ng mga biktima. So, what is NUJP doing right now in order to advocate for justice of the journalists and families of journalists?
Okay. So yeah, we have been working with yung Justice Now, no? Dito sa campaign na to. And we have been, nakikipag-usap din kami with their lawyers when we can. Although kasi syempre, yung private lawyers nila, may sarili rin silang schedules, no? May iba silang mga kaso. So, medyo hindi ganun ka-frequent yung pakikipag-usap. We did try, no? Yung kunyari, financial support. May scholarship na pinot up for a while that was funded by the International Federation of Journalists. Pero, syempre, eventually, naubos din yun dahil funder-driven siya eh. So, dahil sa tagal ng panahon, yung siguro yung interest din ng funders or yung interest ng mundo, I guess. Kasi kaya nga, 15 years, inaalala natin siya every year. Nag-wane na rin, ano? Kaya hindi rin kaya rin ang challenge natin is to keep the case alive, to keep the story alive, no? Tapos yun, tuloy pa rin naman ang kampanya natin. Sabi nga nung families, no, parang kung sila hindi nawalan ng pag-asa, sino tayo para mawalan ng pag-asa for them, no? So, kaya tuloy-tuloy pa rin tayo. Yung compensation, as I understand it, hindi pa talaga muna darating until my final conviction. At least yun yung explanation ng lawyers that we talked to. Kaya rin, importante na makakuha ng tong final conviction na ito. So they can get hindi lang yung justice, no, yung compensation. At sabi nga ni Ma'am Emily na part of that justice is yung compensation for the lives lost. Tsaka yung the lives that could have been kung buhay pa yung mga
katulad
loved ones
nito,
nila.
si Ronnie hindi nakatapos ng pag-aaral dahil dun sa nangyari. And when you say that yung nagbe-wane yung interest but you try to commemorate it every year, are you going to do something tomorrow on the 15th anniversary of the Maguindanao Massacre?
Yeah, actually, nung last weekend, may site visit, no, kasama yung families. But also tomorrow, may march in the afternoon, 4:30 yung kitaan yan sa may UST. Na basically just to remind the government or just to remind, hindi lang the government, the public also na hindi naman natin nakakalimutan tong kasong to, no. Hindi rin enough to say na parang, oh, that was a terrible crime, sana hindi na siya mangyari. We as a society also have to work para hindi na nga siya mangyari ulit. Para hindi commemoration lang ginagawa natin, but there would be a change in let's say yung landscape na hindi na magiging ganun kadali for a powerful group, for a powerful family to do these crimes or to harass or to kill journalists.
It's been 15 years after the Maguindanao Massacre. Is politics still a deadly beat for journalists in the Philippines? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the Forefront, we'll return. Welcome back at the Forefront. And Jonathan, 15 years after the Maguindanao Massacre, is politics still a dangerous beat for journalists in the Philippines?
Attorney Ka, yeah, definitely. Actually, it's more felt in the regions, no, outside Metro Manila. Kasi sa Metro Manila, more or less, journalists are safer. Pero kasi sa probinsya, mas madali mag-reach out yung local politicians. Mas madali kang puntahan, mas madali kang, let's say, puntahan sa bahay or i-warn not to cover, no? At ano pa rin, this still happens. Hindi on this scale. May killings pa rin naman, may harassment pa rin na nangyayari. Or at the very least, pwede ka humarap sa libel case or the threat of a libel case. At yun yung mga realities na our journalists, especially community journalists, face on the ground, no? Na magko-cover ka, but at the same time, may fear, may underlying fear na baka balikan ka ng, let's say, ni mayor or ni governor, or kahit nga ano yan, let's say, local police chief or ano. And yung threat na ito or yung danger na ito, hindi lang din sa politics. Minsan, if it's, let's say, it's a mining company or it's a logging company, may ganun pa ring risk. Dahil nga din, mas madaling malaman kung nasaan ka, mas madali kang puntahan, mas madali kang sundan. So yun, part of what we're doing then sa NUJP is to help prepare journalists for these threats. Meron kami mga safety trainings at times. Precisely dahil nga delikado pa rin.
Nagkakaroon ba ng public awareness every time there's an incident? Do you see that it gets covered in the news?
It does get covered. I feel yung industriya natin or yung colleagues natin know na importante to highlight na pag may inatake isa sa atin, they recognize that it's an attack on all. Pero ang mahirap dyan kasi sa news cycle natin, mag-wane din talaga. Kasi may next news story or may next like issue na i-cover. So, and ganun din talaga, no, for let's say the first few months or for the first few weeks, matindi yung attention on that. Pero eventually, pag kunyari naglabas na ng condemnation yung government or nagbuo na ng task force, minsan yung attention natin napupunta na sa ibang mga bagay, which is part of the challenge and part of the job.
And would you know if based on the case, the Maguindanao Massacre, when there was a conviction, kung meron bang mga masterminds that were convicted, meaning any part of the political family that was involved, that was convicted? Kasi yun yung importante when you were talking about getting compensation. Because kung mga gunmen lang yan na for hire, kawawa naman yung mga pamilya kasi kahit na magkaroon ng final judgment, wala namang makukuha. Because karamihan sa mga gun for hire, wala ring pera.
Yeah, pero naman, several of the ampatuan, si Andal Jr. was among those na convict. So,
Is he still in jail right now?
he's still in jail. Although yun nga, on appeal yung conviction ito. He's also in jail for a conviction on graft naman that binaba last year, November and last year. So yun, nakakulong naman siya. But of course, may fear pa rin na, kasi nga, syempre, they have the resources to mount their appeal, no? So, either tatagal tong kasong to or pwede pa nga ma-reverse yung conviction. Hindi ko alam yung likelihood nun, pero it's a possibility.
And right now we have on the line the wife of another journalist victim, Miss Edith Yamzon. Good morning, Ma'am Edith.
Good morning po, ma'am, at good morning po sa lahat mga nakikinig sa TV po na.
Ma'am Edith, can you share with us ano po yung nangyari sa asawa ninyo? Paano niyo po nalaman na naging biktima siya ng Maguindanao Massacre?
Nung time po na yon, yung sa politika nga po yun, pumunta po sila doon. Sila po pala, sila sa UNTV po. Nung time po na yon, merong si Maguindanao po na po sila, magkakaraban po sila para sa kanyang pagkakandidato.
Paano niyo po nalaman na biktima yung asawa ninyo nung nalaman ninyong nagkaroon ng massacre?
Sa mga news na lang po, ma'am. Pero nagpaalam po siya, nung morning, nagpaalam siya na sasama sila doon sa karaban ni Maguindanao po. Tapos, nung mga bandang 12 pataas po, mga 1 o'clock, nag-ano na po yung, marami na pong sa news na po yung asawa ko. Tapos, may tumawag po sa aking kaibigan ko, yun po, doon ko po nalaman na gano'n. Pero hindi po naniwala noon kasi hindi gano'n ang pagkakilala ko sa asawa ko na doon sa gano'n. Gano'n lang na paraan.
May mga anak po ba kayo nung insidente, nung time na nangyari ito?
Yes, ma'am. Meron po akong 3 anak.
Ano po yung mga age nila that time?
Yung elementary, yung bunso, elementary, tapos yung dalawa po, high school, first year high school po, ma'am.
Paano po yun nung naulila kayo? Meron po ba kayong paparaan para suportahan yung 3 ninyong anak?
Marami naman po, ma'am, tumulong. Yung NUJP, ginuntak po kami. Tapos yung UNTV naman po, tumulong po sila. Saka yung Center Law Office po, sila yung umano sa abogado namin. Yung NUJP po, merong nakuhang scholarship yung anak ko. Salamat sa Diyos at nakatapos po yung 2. Tapos, kasi, siyempre po, marami na rin silang mga tinulungan. Siyempre, hindi lahat mo yung tulong talaga na gano'n dahil alam naman nila mayroon nang nakatapos. Siyempre po, alam nila na maluwag na rin naman po yun. Kaya, siyempre, doon naman po sa iba. Kaya, malaking tulong po sa amin ng NUJP na hanggang ngayon po sila sumusuporta sa amin. Pamamagitan ng tulong po dyan sa...
So malaki po ang tulong sa inyo ng NUJP. Paano po yung sa gobyerno, may naitulong po ba sa inyo?
Meron po ma'am kasi nung time po na yon yung aming abogado ang bali parang nakukontak sa government tapos yung presidente naman po noon meron naman pong naibigay sa amin na pera. Tapos si President Duterte, yan, yun po ang nangyari na naiano na justice yung aming.
Patuloy pa rin po
yung
ba
aking
ang paglaban nyo dito sa kaso? Sinusubaybayan nyo rin po ba ngayon yung mga kaso na pending appeal pa at yung mga ibang akusado ay at large pa din?
Opo ma'am, patuloy naman po. Yung ano namin dyan sa Ampatuan, ang bagal, yun po ang inaano namin, nananawagan kami sa gobyerno na sana bigyan nila ng pansin, 15 years na po yung kaso. Hanggang ngayon, parang hindi po napupos yung ni Ampatuan kasi nag-apila po siya eh. Kaya po yun ang namin. Hanggang ngayon hindi pa namin yung ng apila.
Maraming salamat po, Miss Edith Tiamson.
Sige po, salamat po ng marami.
Jonathan, what is NUJP doing now in terms of making sure na walang, like you said, yung possibility of a reversal of the judgment or further delay?
Okay. Kasi basically, no, ang tanong natin dyan, although we are helping the families, although we are talking with some lawyers, ang pinakamalaking way for us to help in this case is to report yung mga developments or report yung lack of developments. At saka, yun nga, ituloy yung ipaalala lagi sa public na tuloy itong kasong to. Isa pa palang part ng campaign namin, kasi ang campaign dyan is parang Fight for 58. Kasi yung isang victim, si Reynaldo Momay, hindi pa rin siya considered officially a victim. Kasi ang nakakita lang sa kanya, yung dentures niya, pero walang katawan. So part of the campaign is for him to be recognized na kasama siya doon sa mga pinatay. So yun, tuloy pa rin siya. A lot of the work really is still information dissemination or yung reporting pa rin, kasi yun naman talaga ang main role natin as journalists. Although we have been working with groups like Justice Now para sa mga ganitong mga campaigns. But I think yung burden or yung pinakamaraming magagawa dito is still the government and the courts.
And Jonathan, when we have a case that's on appeal, patuloy yung mga kailangan dyang legal representation. So the legal bills will keep racking up. Paano nafa-finance yung legal services na kinakailangan for the families of the victims?
May kausap naman lawyer, and I think may arrangement sila na yun nga, I think when may final conviction, then tsaka palang mababayaran. So
parang success fee based?
Parang, oo. Kaya din medyo mahirap din na i-pressure sila, or let's say, parang itutukan nyo naman to because they do have other cases. But yun, consistent naman si Atty. Nana Santos, at least for the families sa Justice Now, na yun nga, she has been working on the case naman. Minsan lang din, mahirap mag-set na schedule kasi nga, may iba pa siyang mga kaso.
And from a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the safety and security of journalists during the term of the last 4 presidents of the Philippines? So let's first start with former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo.
Well, let's say 6, ganyan. Kasi gano'n nangyari dito eh.
This is during her term that the Maguindanao Massacre happened.
Oo. And kasi parang partly, the government also contributed to the environment kung saan pwede nangyari ito. Kasi parang there has been a lot of reliance on local governments, local leaders, no, na tama naman, I suppose, in theory. Pero ang nangyayari kasi is nakakapag-accumulate naman ng power yung mga local officials na minsan ay ganuting kinalalabasan.
And what about Pinoy, former President Benigno Aquino III?
Possibly 7 or 8.
So there's a bit of an improvement. Nakita niyo yung improvement
although sabi
at that
din
time?
kasi, improvement in the sense siguro na friendlier to the press, pero kung titingnan mo yung attacks or titingnan mo yung killings, they said na mas marami daw during that time. I'll have to go back to the figures, no? Pero kasi naman, I think useful din to look at the press freedom situation na hindi siya per president lang. It's a very long struggle since 1986. And ano kasi, under threat talaga yung press. Palagi naman yan, regardless of who the president is. Minsan meron tayong friendlier president, minsan meron tayong, let's say, more combative na president towards the press, no? Pero yung conditions would be the same. Yung threats faced, kunyari, ng community journalists are the same. Yung libel is still there. Yung challenge to get information is the same. So, tuloy-tuloy lang tayo dapat mag-push back.
Well, former President Rodrigo Duterte.
Well, I
1
think,
to 10.
I guess probably a 6, ganyan.
So
6 or
bumalik
7.
dun sa
Oo,
6 or
kasi,
7.
Kasi kung titingnan natin, it was a very low point for relations between media and government. Hindi lang, si Duterte would probably be the most vocal or the most, yung pinakalitaw, no? Pero kasi yung ganong attitude was also reflected sa let's say, subordinate officials niya. So ayaw ko mausap ng press, or it was easy for them to label journalists as fake news or propagandists, mga ganyan. Tsaka, well, there were very clear attacks din talaga.
Okay. And lastly, current President Bongbong Marcos, on a scale of 1 to 10.
Siguro 7. It's hard to say kasi he has been saying a lot of good things, or he has been saying promising things na parang we prefer the press to be adversarial to government, mga ganyan. So we will have to see. At saka maganda yung he made a new appointment to the Presidential Task Force on Media Security who has promised na iba na, like there will be no red tagging, for example, there will be better coordination with press groups. So we have yet to see. Medyo maaga pa rin, but we're hopeful na...
You haven't seen the results yet or felt it, but merong at least the promising
there
statements.
There is promise. Although, we have to say then, na a lot of the policies from the Duterte administration tinuloy pa rin under this administration. So there is that opportunity for this administration to siguro correct some of those practices.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jonathan de Santos. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Atty. Karen.
The infamous Maguindanao Massacre highlighted the risks that journalists face in bringing news to the public. While justice may have been served, there is still work to be done to ensure the safety and press freedom of Filipino journalists. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again on Monday for meaningful conversations that would help you form an objective personal opinion. And before we go, check out Politico 365 book entitled The Charter Change Timeline, From Hopes to Hiccups. This is now available at all national bookstore and fully booked branches, as well as in airport stations. So grab your copy now. This is Atty. Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.